Frank, you want to tell me a little bit about where you are today, what state you're in, and maybe where have you walked this past week?
Oh, absolutely, Brian. In fact, I just crossed into Kansas late yesterday, and I've already gone through Liberal, Kansas, which I needed a passport and a visa to go into. And I'm right now I'm in Plains, which is just about 20 miles to the due east of Liberal, Kansas. Finished up my trip into from Oklahoma, and got that done. Went through Tyrone and all the other great cities of Oklahoma. So it just worked out real great, and I'm starting to make my trek east. I'm starting to head at this point, kind of in the to the northern route from the southern route, as I head into Kansas and then into St. Louis, Indianapolis, and the like.
Crossing all these state lines, is that kind of a confidence booster for you? You're crossing a lot of lines pretty quickly right now.
Well, it's kind of an interesting issue. It is in some respects, but you get a kind of a wake up call here very quickly. No, but it is. But if you notice, both Oklahoma and Texas were approximately 72 miles and 55 miles, respectively, to cross. So they were kind of smaller. I'm back into Kansas now, where I'm going to be here for probably about 10 days, maybe 11. And then when I go into Missouri, it's about another 9 or 10 days as well. So it starts to stretch back out pretty quickly. The real issue, from my experience so far, is just kind of putting one step in front of the other and one foot in front of the other, and make sure that you keep doing it, kind of almost regardless of how you feel that day.
Has that been the biggest challenge for you? Just kind of like keeping going?
The biggest challenge so far has been somewhat along the lines of the recognition that it's a long distance. While I've completed about 43% of the walk now, maybe 44%. The biggest challenge that I would tell you right now is that when you start to look at the distances and recognize that in doing this now for almost 60 days, I'm almost halfway there. So there's still another 1,600 miles ahead of me. But you know what? I'm getting some really great feedback. The shout out that Tom Hood did with the Frederick MACPA members was a big boost. I hear from Pam, Greg Condracci, Brian, makes it really easy to do, to know that there are folks out there that really kind of care about what we're doing. So it's a good thing. And obviously I hear from the folks at the Good Shepherd Center and Good Shepherd Services on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah. What's the impact been for them since you've maybe started your walk? Do you know?
I think, it's a big morale boost for a lot of us in the process. I think there were some people saying, how's this 63-year-old going to weather, no pun intended, by the way, with the weather that we're going into, how's he going to weather getting through this? But once we went over the 700 mile mark, I think everybody became a believer that this was doable. And me included. I mean, I have to be honest with you, the first 21 days or so, I kept thinking, oh, this is a long distance. But the adrenaline is starting to pump up each time I'm walking, to recognize that it's a step closer each time I do it. And I'm getting into more of a civilized area. It's the first time I've seen extensive amounts of green in the process as well. So I'm seeing a lot of the spring is really starting to hit, although it's a little chilly out today. If you notice, I'm wearing a little bit of a warmer type jacket because it's about 45 or 50 degrees out. And the winds can very quickly pick up here, so you have to watch that as well. One of the things I'm doing since I've gotten into Kansas is they advise you to monitor the weather advisory all the time, because a tornado can hit pretty much any time. There was a town about 70 miles from where I am right now that got hit with a tornado about a week ago. So I have to start being a little bit more careful about what's in front of me, behind me, and what the weather forecast is.
Yeah, as you keep going forward, fighting against that weather, what do you hope to accomplish this next week?
What I'm hoping to do is I'm trying to continue to average about 25 miles a day, and weather permitting. What I've decided to do is, if the gusts are over 70 miles an hour, that's just not safe for first responders or me to be in, and I don't want to put anybody else in a predicament, because I'm going to try something stupid just to hit a 25 mile a day mark. So I'm really, and that's one of the things that the first responders in the area, both Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and all the states I've been in so far, have just said, please, we appreciate what you're trying to do. but please keep us in mind as well, because if there's a natural disaster, we don't want to have one more person that we have to deal with. So, that's part of the responsibility I shoulder in this as well, to make sure that I'm prudent and careful about what I'm doing. And we've been pretty fortunate so far. I've got caught out in some pretty gusty winds, but if it looks like the forecast is for anything over 70-mile-an-hour winds, I'm not sure that's kind of really sustainable for me at my age to be able to stand up on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, once again, Frank, thanks for letting us check in with you, and hope the rest of your walk goes well.
Outstanding. Brian, thanks again. Give my best to everybody, would you please?
Will do.
And let them know how much I appreciate the shout outs. I really do. And keep our kids in mind. Keep the Good Shepherd Service children in mind, and have them keep them in their prayers.